K-Drama Cycle presents another story that tugs at the heart and reminds us that fame can never silence true emotions. Love, loss, and redemption. Three words that perfectly capture the journey of Yu and Tian Xuning. Once the golden duo of the entertainment world, their chemistry lit up screens and made millions believe in destiny. But behind the applause and flashing lights, their story took a turn no one saw coming. 4 years, they were apart, different projects, different paths, and unspoken emotions that never truly faded. Rumors swirled, fans speculated, and the industry quietly whispered about what could have been. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. When news broke that Yu and Tian Xuning would reunite for a charity gala, fans couldn't contain their excitement. It wasn't just a reunion, it was an emotional moment years in the making. Both had changed. Yu, once the confident rising star, had become more introspective, shaped by loss and lessons. Tian Xuning, known for her elegance and quiet strength, carried herself with the calm of someone who had endured storms in silence. When they met again, under the soft lights of the event stage, something shifted. Their eyes met, not as co-stars, but as two people who had shared something the world could never fully understand. As they walked side by side, flashes went off, and for a brief moment, it felt like time stopped. The audience noticed the warmth, the familiarity, and the gentle smile Tian Xuning gave Yu, the same one that once melted hearts on screen. Later, backstage, a camera caught them sharing a quiet laugh. It wasn't forced or staged. It was real, effortless, filled with memories of what once was and the peace that comes after pain. Sources close to the two revealed that this reunion was more than professional. It was personal healing. Both had faced intense pressure since their last collaboration, navigating fame, loneliness, and expectations. But in that shared silence, they found comfort again. The next day, social media exploded. Fans trended hashtags celebrating their reunion, calling it a moment of healing and the comeback no one expected but everyone needed. People began revisiting their old drama clips, drawing parallels between their fictional love story and their real-life connection. The resemblance was uncanny, the same emotions, the same longing, the same unspoken bond that transcended acting. During an interview after the event, Yu was asked about working with Tian Xuning again. His reply was simple but powerful: some connections don't fade. They evolve. That one line sent fans into a frenzy. Many believed it was his subtle way of acknowledging their unique bond. Tian Xuning, too, shared her thoughts days later, saying, "Sometimes you meet people who remind you who you were meant to be." Working with Yu again felt like coming home. Their words reignited a wave of hope and nostalgia. People began to see their story as one of resilience and second chances, a reminder that even after the spotlight dims, what's genuine remains. Insiders say the two are now in talks for another project together, possibly a romance film that mirrors their own journey. If true, this could mark one of the most emotional reunions in modern drama history. What makes their story even more touching is how both handled their past pain with grace. Instead of denying or escaping it, they embraced it, turning wounds into wisdom. They showed that love doesn't always mean being together. It can also mean wishing each other peace from afar. But when destiny gives you another chance, sometimes it's best to take it with open arms. Yu and Tian Xuning's story reminds us that behind fame and perfection lies humanity, two souls growing, hurting, and finding their way back to themselves and maybe back to each other. Fans are now waiting eagerly, not just for their next project, but for the quiet truth that lingers between them. Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't the ones performed under bright lights, they're the ones whispered after the curtains fall. K-Drama Cycle presents another unforgettable story that transcends fame, distance, and time itself. Love, loss, and redemption. Three emotions that have defined the journey of Yu and Tian Xuning. Their story begins not on a movie set, but in the quiet moments behind the curtain, where fame fades and real hearts are revealed. Once hailed as the golden duo of the Chinese entertainment world, Yu and Tian Xuning captured the hearts of millions with their breathtaking chemistry. Every glance, every smile, and every unspoken word between them on screen seemed too real to be scripted. Fans didn't just watch them, they felt them. They believed in their story because, in some strange way, it mirrored something deeper, something genuine between the two. But as their careers soared, so did the pressures that came with stardom. Rumors, endless schedules, and the constant demand to be perfect eventually took their toll. One day, without explanation, the pair stopped appearing together. No new projects, no interviews, not even a casual sighting. It was as if the universe had decided to keep them apart. Fans noticed the silence. There were whispers in the entertainment world, talks of creative differences, management disputes, and personal heartbreak. Yet, neither Ziyu nor Tian Xuning spoke publicly about it. They simply disappeared into their individual paths, each carrying the quiet weight of what had been left unsaid. Years passed, and both continued to grow. Ziyu evolved into a mature, introspective artist. His work became deeper, more emotional, almost as if every role he played was an echo of what he once felt. Meanwhile, Tian Xuning reinvented herself as an actress of depth and grace. Her performances carried the ache of someone who had seen both beauty and pain. But beneath all that success, there was something missing. Both seemed to be waiting, for what, no one knew. Then, everything changed when fate reunited them in the most unexpected way. It started with a charity gala. A night meant to celebrate art and compassion suddenly became the stage for a reunion that stopped the internet. Ziyu arrived first, composed yet distant, his sharp suit reflecting the man he had become, confident, but guarded. Moments later, Tian Xuning stepped onto the red carpet, her elegance glowing under the flashes of cameras. The crowd erupted, not just for her beauty, but for the moment everyone had secretly hoped for, Ziyu and Tian Xuning in the same room again. When they locked eyes across the hall, the energy shifted. It was subtle at first, but undeniable. Those who witnessed it said that for a brief moment, everything else disappeared. It wasn't about fame or performance anymore. It was about recognition. Two souls recognizing each other after years of silence. On stage, they were invited to speak about their experiences working in the industry. Ziyu went first, thanking his fans and colleagues for their unwavering support. But it was when Tian Xuning took the microphone that the atmosphere turned emotional. She spoke softly about resilience, about how some people come into your life to teach you lessons that stay long after they've left. Her voice trembled slightly, but her words were steady. Sometimes, she said, the people we meet shape us more than we realize. Even when they're gone, their presence remains in everything we do. As she finished, cameras caught Ziyu's reaction. His usual calm expression shifted. His eyes softened, glistening slightly under the lights. He didn't say anything, but he didn't have to. The audience felt the tension, the nostalgia, the emotion that years of distance couldn't erase. And when they stood side by side for photos, fans noticed the faint smile they shared, a smile that spoke volumes. After the event, the internet exploded. Hashtags like hashtag Ziyu and Tian Xuning reunion and hashtag LoveAfterFame trended overnight. Fans flooded social media with old photos, comparing their expressions then and now. They still look at each other the same way, one comment read. You can't fake that kind of love. But behind the online frenzy, there was something even more profound happening. Backstage, away from the cameras, Ziyu and Tian Xuning finally talked. It wasn't dramatic, it was quiet, sincere, and heavy with years of unsaid words. Witnesses said they shared a private moment near the exit doors, where they laughed softly, as if remembering something only they could understand. It was there, in that fleeting moment, that the walls seemed to fall. Insiders later revealed that the reunion wasn't accidental. The organizers of the gala had reached out to both separately, never expecting they'd accept. But destiny had its plans. After that night, they began meeting privately, catching up on lost time, not as celebrities, but as old friends who had walked through fire and finally found peace. Weeks later, an entertainment reporter asked Ziyu about the reunion. His response became an instant headline: some connections never fade. They grow quietly, even when you're apart. Fans went wild, convinced he was talking about Tian Xuning. Days later, Tian herself spoke during an interview. Sometimes, she said, you meet someone who reminds you who you really are. Working with Ziyu again felt like finding that part of myself I'd forgotten. That subtle exchange reignited the spark of curiosity and hope among fans. Soon after, news broke that both were in talks for a new romantic drama. The storyline: two people who reunite after years apart and rediscover love amidst life's chaos. The resemblance to their real-life journey was uncanny. Production sources hinted that both were hesitant at first, unsure if it would be too personal. But as discussions went on, they realized it was the perfect opportunity to heal through art, to turn their pain and growth into something beautiful. Their possible comeback project quickly became one of the most anticipated dramas in Asia. Online forums filled with fans speculating about what their chemistry would be like now, years later. Would it still feel the same? Would time have changed the magic between them? Behind the scenes, however, both Yu and Tian Xuning were taking things slow. They weren't rushing into anything. For them, this wasn't about reigniting old flames. It was about closure, understanding, and mutual respect. In private, they were seen having quiet dinners, sharing creative ideas, and laughing easily again. It wasn't the fiery romance people imagined. It was something gentler, deeper, grounded in appreciation. As months passed, fans began noticing how much both of them had evolved. Ziyu's interviews became warmer, his tone more reflective. Tian Xuning's recent project showed emotional depth and vulnerability that only comes from real experience. They weren't chasing fame anymore. They were living with intention. And maybe that's why their story touched so many hearts. Because it wasn't about scandal or spectacle. It was about growth. About two people who loved, lost, and still found grace in each other's presence. When the teaser for their rumored new project finally dropped, a simple image of two silhouettes walking under the evening rain, fans lost control. Comments poured in, "They're back. This is destiny. Art imitating life once again." But beyond all the noise, Ziyu and Tian Xuning stayed silent. They didn't confirm or deny anything. They simply continued living, allowing their story to unfold naturally. Because sometimes real love doesn't need to be announced. It just exists, quietly, powerfully, endlessly. And that's the essence of their journey. From fame to silence, from heartbreak to hope, from distance to rediscovery. Love, loss, and redemption, it's not just their story. It's a reminder to everyone that time doesn't erase real connection, it only refines it. So as fans continue to root for their reunion, one thing remains certain: Ziyu and Tian Xuning have already written one of the most genuine love stories the industry has ever seen. And whether or not it ends in romance, it will always be remembered as a story of healing, grace, and the courage to begin again. Because some bonds, no matter how quiet, are unbreakable. And some reunions, no matter how late, are worth the wait.